The Southport riots led to immediate arrests and, in some cases, imprisonment, not just for those that threw bricks, but for those who said things online. Yet, the appalling attack on police officers at Manchester Airport has been completely ignored. We think, as Reform UK, this is as clearer illustration of two-tier policing, two-tier justice in two tiers Britain as you could possibly see. And we promised a few weeks ago that if the Crown Prosecution Service did not lay some charges against these men who, remember, even broke the nose of a women's police officer, that we would take out a private prosecution. And Richard Tice, my Deputy Leader, has news.
So let's remind ourselves, this assault took place on the 23rd of July. Here we are in the second half of November, no news whatsoever. And when we announced that we were going to do this private criminal prosecution, we thought we might hear from somebody. Absolute silence, zip, nothing at all. So the firm that we have instructed is TMI Limited. They are the largest private prosecutor in the country. They have over 1,000 successful prosecutions, and they are going to write today to the Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police and also to the Crown Prosecution Service with their requirements, with the evidence, with the requirements to conduct witness statements and much more in order to commence this prosecution. We said we'd do it, we waited to hear, we've heard nothing, so we're left with no alternative.
Yeah, we will not live in a two-tier country. Absolutely not.
The conversation between Nigel Farage and Richard Tice was a frustrated critique of what they saw as one of the most glaring examples of a two-tier justice system in modern Britain. Farage drew a stark contrast between the swift and decisive action taken against individuals involved in the Southport riots, where arrests and even imprisonment were not only taken against those who committed violent acts, but also against those who made online comments, and the apparent inaction in relation to the brutal attack on police officers at Manchester Airport. The attack, which included the breaking of a female police officer's nose, they said, was met with silence and indifference from the authorities. The disparity in responses to the two incidents was seen as emblematic of wider systemic inequalities, where justice is applied inconsistently depending on the circumstances or the people involved. Richard Tice points out that despite the incident occurring on 23 July, no significant progress has been made in the 4 months since. His tone becomes increasingly exasperated as he explains that even after reform, UK publicly announced its intention to pursue a private prosecution, there has been no response from the police or the Crown Prosecution Service. The announcement that Reform UK has now hired TMI Limited, the UK's largest private prosecution firm with over 1,000 successful cases, is a significant escalation. This move, which includes formal plans to liaise with both Greater Manchester Police and the CPs to gather evidence and witness statements, underlines their commitment to ensuring justice is done, even if it means pursuing it independently of the state. Farage and Tice do not present this as an isolated incident of neglect. They see it as emblematic of a much deeper rot in the UK justice system. By juxtaposing the harsh punishments faced by those involved in Southport with the lack of consequences for those who committed crimes at Manchester Airport, they created a narrative of systemic failure that resonated on multiple levels. This wasn't just about the police or specific crimes. It was about fairness, accountability, and the erosion of public trust in the institutions that are supposed to uphold the law. "We're not going to live in a two-tiered country" absolutely not resonated as a call to unity. It was a statement of defiance and determination, a commitment to challenge what they saw as an unjust system that selectively enforced rules. The entire conversation was not simply an indictment of a specific event, but a broader condemnation of perceived systemic bias, wrapped in a call to action that directly tapped into the frustrations of citizens who felt similarly disillusioned. Farage and Tice's rhetoric was designed to evoke a sense of urgency and moral outrage, turning the case into a symbol of their broader political mission to challenge inequality and restore public faith in justice. The state of two-tier policing in Britain today is a glaring indictment of the country's failing justice system, and Keir Starmer, with his track record and empty rhetoric, exemplifies why public confidence in law and order is eroding. As the former head of the Crown Prosecution Service, Starmer should be uniquely positioned to address and rectify these glaring inconsistencies. Yet he remains conspicuously silent on incidents like the Manchester airport attack. This brutal assault, where a female police officer was left with a broken nose, has been met with no charges, no accountability, and no urgency from the authorities. Meanwhile, in other cases, individuals who post controversial comments online or engage in nonviolent protests are swiftly apprehended and prosecuted. This is the essence of two-tier policing. One standard for ordinary citizens, often harsh and unforgiving, and another for those who appear to benefit from the system's selective enforcement. Starmer's inaction is not just disappointing. It is emblematic of a wider culture of hypocrisy and political cowardice. Despite positioning himself as a champion of law and order, his leadership lacks the backbone to address the systemic rot that allows such glaring disparities to persist. Instead, he and his allies seem more concerned with pandering to ideological factions and maintaining their own public image than ensuring fairness and accountability in the justice system. This isn't just incompetence. It's a betrayal of the fundamental principles that the justice system is supposed to uphold. Starmer, rather than being a figure who confronts these injustices, has become a symbol of the very problem. His tenure at the CPs and his political career since have been marked by a pattern of avoiding difficult conversations and failing to stand up for those let down by the system. Under his watch, the divide between the powerful and the powerless, between those protected by the system and those left exposed, has only grown wider. Britain deserves better than this feeble leadership and a justice system that picks and chooses who it protects. Keir Starmer's silence on the glaring failings of two-tier policing is not just a political oversight. It is an active contribution to the erosion of trust in institutions meant to serve and protect us all. Thank you for watching. If you have any thoughts or opinions, feel free to share them in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more updates, and join us on Telegram for exclusive content and discussions. Your support means a lot.